What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another episode of Grey Man Operations. In this video, we are going to be taking a look at the Loop Gear SK5 Helm Pro flashlight. Guys, as you know, before we get into that, next week on Patreon, we are giving away a Canik Meta SF. It will be the third of these that we give away, the third firearm we give away in 2025. We'll be giving one more away at the end of the year, and then we'll be doing 4 again next year. If you want to join on Patreon, it's the first link in the video description below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're checking this video out on Facebook or Instagram, it's the first comment. I would recommend the person who's going to carry this light is going to have to be someone who actually would use all the functionality of this light, which we're going to get into in a second. It's probably not someone who's just carrying a flashlight for the fun of carrying a flashlight. This is a very nice work light. So if you are someone who works on a farm, works in an environment where you need different sorts of lights, a sort of mechanical environment, if you will, this is a very, very nice light to own, and I'll show you why in a second. If you are a flashlight connoisseur, I'm telling you, you've got to own this. It's like the MacGyver/Swiss Army knife of flashlights. Let's get into modes and functionality. Now, the light itself is functioned by this rotary dial. It has no tail switch, and on this dial you've got a couple of options. Let me just rotate it here. So you've got lockout, which is the first option, and that basically when you press it, a red light will flicker to tell you that it's locked out. Then you'd circle it once, and that is flood, which is that right there. Then you circle it again, and that is spot, which is that right there. And then you circle it one more time, and then you get the side light. Now, we're going to talk about the side light last because, man, oh man, is there options on this side light function. Now, the floodlight comes in a couple of brightnesses. You got a turbo of 3060, a high of 950, a medium of 350, and a low of 50 lumens. Runtime is turbo 40 seconds, high 6 hours, medium 20 hours, and low 95 hours. Then on the spotlight, you've got a turbo of 1300 lumens, high of 600 lumens, medium of 220, low of 40, and respective runtimes is 40 seconds, 55 minutes, 19 hours, and 96 hours. And that isn't when the flashlight will run dry or empty, shall I say. That's when it'll start stepping down. Now, the way to function the light is, let's say you are in floodlight mode, pressing the button will switch it on, pressing and holding it will cycle through the modes, pressing it again will switch it off, double tap will give you turbo in that mode. If you go to spotlight, pressing the button switches it on, pressing and holding cycles through the modes, pressing once puts it off. A double tap will take you to turbo in that mode. A press and hold from off takes you into like turbo on both of these, which I like to call holy shit mode. I don't know what on earth you would need that amount of light for, but if you do need a holy shit amount of light, that's the way to do it. A triple tap will give you strobe. I can confidently say, from someone who has reviewed defensive flashlights, this is not a defensive flashlight. This is a strictly everyday carry utilitarian flashlight. Now, let's get into the final selector. Am I switching it the right way? The side button mode. Now, guys, there's a high likelihood I'm going to miss a mode in the side panel mode, but let's try to get in it. So when you rotate the dial to the very last section and you press it, you will get your side panel mode. Now, you get the solid mode. Pressing and holding will cycle you through the colors of the solid light. Double tapping will take you to like a heartbeat mode. Pressing and holding will cycle you through the available colors of, let's call it, heartbeat mode. Double tap will take you to Night Rider mode. Pressing and holding will, that's got to be Night Rider mode, right? Isn't it? Pressing and holding will take you to the available colors of Night Rider mode. If that isn't Night Rider mode, I'm going to get annihilated in the comments. Double tapping will take you to, is that Night Rider mode? Anyway, we'll take you to this mode. I don't know what we call this mode, but this is a mode. Double tapping again will take you to multicolor mode, and then pressing and holding will increase the speed of the rotation of those colors. And double tapping will take you to white light mode. This lasts for 20 days, which I really appreciate. And I'll tell you why. Michelle and I use this flashlight every single night. We use it in this mode, but it's usually either blue or red. And the reason for that is, as some of you who follow the channel may know, Michelle and I had a traumatic experience in our home a few months ago, and since then she's been unable to sleep with the house completely dark. So we have flashlights all over the place. Now it's fine to keep the house lit with a normal flashlight in like the passage and the living room and the kitchen, but in the bedroom to have that white light is very annoying. Okay, so having a red light is a lot softer on the eye. So we use this light practically nightly and hardly ever charge it, just to create some ambient light inside of our bedroom. If you do switch the side light on and you triple tap, you get police mode. Pressing and holding will make the police mode freak out, but you get police mode. I suppose, you know what, it's cool. I suppose it's like a beacon. If you're changing the tire of your car, you can just stick this down in the road, put it on police mode. And it's rather reflective. When you rotate the dial to the different modes, you will see the blue LED type strip will light up to indicate the available battery power of that mode, which is really nice. Also, when you plug the sucker into charge, this will sort of cycle forward to show you how far in the charging process it is. Talking about charging, the batteries, you've got a battery little switch over here. You can lock it out, in which case you can't get to the battery toggle. But if you don't lock it out and you press this button, that pops up, and you have two 4,000 milliamp hours 18650 battery. So the batteries are removable, and obviously the flashlight is USB Type-C rechargeable. This is very much a 4-in-1 flashlight in that you get the floodlight. Okay, which mode are we at? You get the floodlight, you get the spotlight, and then you get your side light, but it's also a 20-watt power bank. So this will charge your USB Type-C devices. Let's talk about what you get in the box. The box: instruction manual, USB C to C charging cable, micro screwdriver with micro screws, and the SK05 Helm Pro. Now guys, as you can see, I'm not in lockout mode, which is over here where my finger is, but the flashlight is locked out. This button is a very mouse clicker type button, so it's easily pressable. Now what happens is, if you don't use the flashlight for like 30 seconds or something like that, it will go into an automatic lockout. And so now I can't use the light at all. The way to solve that is to rotate the dial all the way to lockout and to unlock, and then you get your modes. That is why I say this is a very EDC friendly flashlight. It's not a flashlight that you want to rip out and use to defend yourself when you're being attacked, kind of thing. Something I do appreciate is that Loop Gear were kind enough to give a USB C to C charging cable. That means you can now just straight away plug this into your Type-C devices to use as a power bank. Also guys, one last thing is that this clip is not mounted when you get the flashlight, which is what this little micro screwdriver is for. The screws to mount this clip are easily losable. So when you do mount it, I literally sat on the floor. So the furthest it could fall was the floor, because they are extremely tiny. Let me see if I can actually show this to you on camera. Well, oh, I nearly lost one. That is about as much as I can show you in terms of how small the screws are. So if you do get yourself one of these, try to ensure that when you do mount this, they come with a spare set, because inevitably most people will lose one. Try to ensure that you do mount it in a safe space where if it falls, it's not going to fall too far. Guys, the SK05 Helm Pro is, you know what, it's a lot like, shall we say, it's a lot like some of the apps on your smartphone. It's a lot like a smartwatch. You think you only use your watch for telling the time, then you get a smartwatch and all of a sudden you're measuring your sleep patterns and you freaking timing things that you would ordinarily have timed on your phone. You're using your smartwatch to answer calls and send and receive emails and all the other nonsense. It's the kind of thing that once you get it, you start developing uses for it. It's an extremely premium piece of kit. It's not a cheap thing. right? And it doesn't feel like a cheap thing. It's got a nice, solid weight to it. In terms of survivability, I think IP68 waterproof and 1 meter drop safe. This isn't something you want to be dropping, chucking around, but we have to talk about who it's for. Well, if you are a flashlight connoisseur, if you're someone who likes cool flashlights, and there are those people out there, believe me, right? Because I'm one of them. This is a very cool thing to own. If you're someone who wants to buy a gift for your partner and your partner likes flashlights, very, very nice. If you're someone who uses work lights, I don't know if I mentioned this tail is magnetized. I would recommend, if you're going to mount it to something like this, let's say this is the wall or the magnetic thing, don't do that, do that. It holds its magnetism, or it holds itself up much better like this than it does like this. But it's a really nice work light. It's a really nice tool for a mechanic, or, like I say, a guy who works in places where he needs different kinds of lights, and especially sometimes things like really soft lights. We undervalue the value of having a softer light to use, because sometimes harsh light or really bright light ruins color rendition. And for a lot of people in the workforce, color rendition is very, very important. This is available, from what I understand, in South Africa exclusively from Balvo Tactical. I will leave them linked down below. I want to say huge thanks to those guys for sending me this out to review. It's such a nice flashlight, and it's the kind of thing, the more you use it, the more you use it. It's that sort of thing. You don't realize you're going to use it as much as you do until you start using it. And then it's like, man, I really like this flashlight. So big thanks to those guys. Guys, remember, next week is the week we are giving away a Canik Meta SF on Patreon. Jump on that if you want to stand a chance to win. That is it, guys. I will see you next week for another review. Have a good week. Be safe. Train hard. Cheers. God bless.